Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch's latest film, The Roses, hit cinemas recently. It's inspired by the Warren Adler novel, The War of the Roses, of course, and it's about the breakdown of a marriage when one person, Olivia Colman's character, starts to outperform and out-earn the other. It's spicy, isn't it? Oti, do you think that financial compatibility is important when it comes to relationship? I mean, how do you two deal with that?
I think relationships are different, but certainly for us, we met in Germany, and Marius was, I would say, the breadwinner when we met. But then because of Strictly and all the opportunities and now the work that I do, and we moved to the UK, it's definitely changed. But our values in marriage and in the future and in our child are the same. So we don't actually think about the outside and what the money brings. We think about what value our marriage has and do we still prioritise family time? Do we still prioritise her health? And that for us is important in the marriage. And I see it as even if he was in the position that I am, I'm providing for my family. So finances don't really matter.
Because I think, and that's quite important, that you have shared values, I think, in that way when it comes to finances, that it's money that you earn as a family as opposed to who earns more than the other. But the reality of life, Janet, is it just doesn't always work like that, does it?
No.
And that's the show.
Not in my life, anyway. I think when you earn more than your partner, and if you really care about that partner and you want to keep the relationship going, you talk about money as little as possible because it's a very, very, very difficult subject. And I'm only speaking from my own experience that if you start to bring it up too much or you start to question what they do spend their money on, you're going to have a row, and it's best not to discuss money too much, more than you have to. And I would
But then if you don't, situations can occur where you could end up with, say, for instance, huge amounts of debt because no one's having a conversation about money.
Right, well, I've never owned a house with anybody else. I mean, either I own it or they own it. I don't want to have a shared ownership because, no, I wouldn't do that. And I would also, I've had the misfortune to be with someone who used my house and my standing to get their credit rating, to get thousands and thousands of pounds on credit cards, and which I had to, when we got divorced, get dealt with.
You had to deal with it?
Yeah, because I didn't pay it off, but I told the credit card companies that this person is not living at this address and, you know, does not have the money, is not worthy of these credit cards. So I think money for me is something that I've always been very good with money. I have always paid off my debts as quickly as possible. I have not ever bought something I couldn't afford. I've been quite frugal. I've reflected my parents' values in that respect, and I've been very careful with money. And I remember even the first day I got in a taxi, it was like the most exciting day of my life. I was probably about 16, and I thought, oh my God, I'm in a taxi. But, you know, I know now that might sound a bit extraordinary, but I have a very clear idea of growing up where money was... you know, my parents weren't well off and they saved and saved and saved, and that passed itself on to me. So if I marry someone or if I have a relationship with someone, I might not like how they manage money. I actually find it really difficult to understand. It's one of the mysteries. It's more difficult than sex or gardening or reading or anything. Your partner's attitude to money.
Which moves me on to Kelly. What is your partner's attitude to money?
Right, so I've always made money. I've always had my own money. I've always been very successful with money and very clever with money and put a lot of weight in property, pensions, different investments. And I had all of that on paper, but never had the relationship. So when I met my husband, and I always say this, there's different currencies in life. When I met my husband, I just kind of parked that and I didn't want to think about money. I wanted to think about the relationship and what was going to be right for us and how we can have a successful marriage. So we could both individually be more successful. If he lived in Paris and worked in his own language, he would be more successful. If I'd stayed in America, I'm sure I would have been more successful. But we chose the UK. We chose to make a life here. And and we're all right, you know. It's not like we're hugely successful. It's not always about money. It's sometimes just about being together and making a lovely life.
You chose love.
We did.